On Deji 360, we don't just ask the questions. What is wrong with amending the Constitution the way the National Assembly members have been doing it? We seek answers.
Constitution is constituent.
Our problem is not lack of laws. Our problem is lack of the willpower to implement our laws.
Answers that provide clarity.
While we negotiate, we should try to make it a point that the girls must be complete.
The clarity you need to make informed judgment so that you can make the right decision and take action. People are saying it is you politicians that are responsible for this, that you are the reason why this is happening.
All these dollars that call themselves governors in this country.
I wish we had people like Tony at the National Assembly.
God forbid that I go to join that planet.
Deji 360, providing clarity to issues. All right, welcome back. Now let's continue this discussion on the issue of the nomination forms and, of course, the primaries. The primaries coming up. I'm now being joined on the program by Wahab Awokoniro, who used to be the chairman of a local government area in Lagos State. He's a political analyst now, and I also have Ayo Adeyemi, a political analyst as well. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program. Ayo, let me start with you. 45 million naira for a presidential nomination form, if you ask me, would mean you want a big man to be the president of this country, because it's a clear sign that you don't want everybody to take a shot at the presidency. It's quite high.
Yes, obviously, if you really have desire and interest to go for a political office, and then the first bit is to tell you that you need to pay 45 million.
Especially now when we have so many young people.
Yeah, then it means that you are in for a real time. For what has been defined as the nomination form amount, is a lot of people really have to even go by, because for real, that can collapse some organizations. That amount of money.
Absolutely.
And then if it's just ordinary form that you're going to get at 45 million, then how much will you be required to fund the election, to go for your campaign? So it means that...
and there's no guarantee that you're going to win the primaries.
It's not at all. That's just for me.
So after losing the primaries, would the money be refunded?
Well, we've not had that, but for what we know, that you never get that. You know who's going to refund to who? The money is needed by the party, so I believe it's up for sale. So the highest bidder, and that's what our political environment has turned to, and that is why the idea of not too young to run is also just going to be like at what level? Not too young run at what level?
But the good thing is that you look at other political parties, because it's not always good to narrow it down to the two major political parties. The PDP too, its form is going for 12 million naira. If you ask me, that's also very high for young people. So, but the good thing is that you have some other political parties that are offering their forms for free.
Yes. We have 91 political parties, if I'm right, and the two major political parties, PDP and APC, seems to always want to steal the show. But there are parties that can easily get their tickets or their form without even have to pay, and they can even beg you to pick their tickets.
But how far you will go is...
But what we have not gotten right as Nigerians is the fact that we feel if you are not in PDP or APC, then you probably do not have anything good to offer. And that's where we need to begin to take the games from. We need to begin to understand that there are opportunities. If you really have good intentions and you have good plans for this country, and you feel you want to vie for the position, I think the best thing is to just launch out. You don't necessarily need to be on APC or PDP. For me, I strongly believe that. Yes, there are major two political parties, but ab initio, if you be going for a form of 12 million naira, 45 million naira, I must tell you, then if you get it, you are investing. And your investment must yield. And that's where corruptions even start from.
And you look at the other positions too, for the Senate, the House of Representatives, governorship, for instance, in the APC is 22.5 or so.
Yeah.
And in the PDP, I think is around 7 or so million.
And so that's what I'm saying. It's not free. Because if you have an investment or a savings of 22 million naira, and somebody says come and pay for a form, you look at if you hand him money. For every one of them that picking the forms, is it that they really work for this money? Where is the source of the money? Well, so that's where the question has to be.
And the good thing is that we're beginning to see even very wealthy presidential candidates, people coming out to buy forms for them. I mean, we saw in the case of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, some youths came together to raise the money to buy the form for him. We've also had cases. I understand the president too, President Muhammadu Buhari. I think some people are buying the form for him because he was one of those who complained too that the cost of that form is too high. But you've been a politician, probably not very active now, but you've been there. You've seen it all. Would you blame these political parties, so to speak, because somehow they have to raise money for the elections?
Yeah, if you look at the way the economic situation in the country is now,
at the moment,
I think the money they are charging for nomination fee is way too much. Even though I agree that the parties need money to run their operations, they have to fund the party one way or the other. I can still excuse other smaller parties or the opposition parties, but I cannot excuse the government of the day.
Yeah, the ruling party.
The ruling party.
That's
I
the
cannot,
APC,
because they will have so many people in the House of Rep, the Senate, and so many appointed officials everywhere. Normally, if you want to run a party, all those people who are benefiting right now, who are enjoying patronage, are supposed to be contributing something from whatever benefit in terms of their salary,
because that's a problem for me. Where would they be getting the money to contribute? Yeah.
Look, if you're a board director, there's some certain allowances they give you. Certain percentage of your legal allowance, you can be donating it to the party. If you're on a salary, certain percentage of your salary can be donated to the party. Those are the way parties were being run during the time of Chief Obafemi, the First Republic, and what have you. We need to go back to those days. But I cannot understand now a ruling party charging 45 million. Initially it was 55 million. No, when the president complained, they brought it down to 45 million. And the governorship 20-something million. I mean, come on. What are they trying to say? Especially a ruling party who came into power on the apostle of change, that they want to make things better. And you want to strengthen our democracy. Is that the way you can strengthen democracy? When you have already used nomination fee
to sort of cut off other people.
And you said you recently signed not too young. I mean, how do you expect the younger people to come up with the money? Macron in France, if the nomination fee would have been 45 million, whatever, I don't know the kind of currency Paris is using, is it franc, French franc? Could Macron be able to run at all and become the president?
Let me ask, is it not possible? Is it not possible, for instance, to put out these nomination forms for free?
It's possible.
Yes. Why is it not possible? From what, like we said, as party members, it is expected that
since
you have views.
Anyway, I want to go.
Let me even take you back to the memory lane. Let me take you back to memory lane. When Chief Ganifayemi was alive, I remember that he took the party to court on this nomination fee, and they were either slashed down completely or they were made free. That was when you now find the younger people. They came into the political arena at that time, and they ran in so many areas. Even though most of them they did not win, but they were able to lay that. This was during the SDP days, and when he was having this conscious party, and so I thought maybe we should have been able to build on that. But rather than the coalition moving forward as a nation democratically, we are regressing. Honestly, nomination fee of 45 million, I cannot explain it. I can understand the one of PDP. They are the opposition party. They need money to run. Even though they even
hold on. Hold on. Just hold it there. Don't tell me you can understand, because the opposition party needs money.
You didn't let me finish my thoughts.
Hold on. The ruling party also needs money, and if it needs money, that money should not be coming from government. So I just want to.
No. I'm not saying they should dip out into the treasury. Wait,
but we have seen that in the past anyway.
Listen, what I'm saying is that as a public official, and you are working, let's say as a senator, or you are whatever, you are an appointee of the government, you are entitled to some certain basic allowances. I am saying that out of those allowances,
I
you
can
use certain percentage.
But even when you are not in government, but the good thing is, even when you are not in government too, you can also contribute to your party.
Yes, now people are doing that.
I just want us to get that straight, because what is absolutely necessary here is to state the fact that, look, you don't really have to hold a position in government to contribute to a party if you belong to that party. So why do you have to wait until you hold a certain position?
I only use that as an example.
I understand.
Even contractors too. In the past,
I even have a problem with asking contractors. Contractors too, on their own volition, when things were all right, not the way it is now. When they get certain contracts, certain percentage of their proceed, they still find a way of putting it back to the. I find that very wrong anyway. But
I think
it's
part of patronage.
I think we need to put this in the right perspective, in actual fact. And the truth is this: nomination form. The party needs money to fund the administration of the party. Understandable. But the truth is this: for every party should be able to have a way they generate funds. Meaning that for every member of the party, if you are put in place as a member of the party, or you pay annual dues or what have you, and the party understand that this is their budget, what they need per year, what have you, and for, like you said, for parties in power. And even that the one that is recently out of power, they have certain number of members that are holding political office. So they might contribute more. But when you make your nomination form to be for highest bidder, then it then means that it's for selected few. It's for those that have got money. And I bet to say that no one would have worked legitimately, saved legitimately, and then feel 45 million naira would be good enough for me to dole out to buy a form.
Because it's service.
If people come together to buy it, I have no problem with that.
Especially.
But when an individual has to dole out, then you are already telling that individual that once you can dole out that kind of money, we know because you are investing and you will yield your interest.
Exactly.
So there's no corruption. Corruption will continue.
Especially in a country where we know politics, whether we like it or not, is more or less an investment.
Yeah, so
there's no politics.
Let's.
And I'm not saying my personal experience.
I'm not accusing you.
My personal experience.
I'm still a politician. I don't get it wrong.
Politicians.
Politics itself is a serious business.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's a serious business. And it's an investment depending on the way you are looking at it. People can decide to invest their time to make sure that they were able to improve the lots of the masses.
From my own experience.
And wait now, your return will be the number of lives you are able to touch as a result of the time.
I wish it
Take
was
for
so.
instance.
I wish it was so.
Well, that is the truth. That is the way it is.
That's how you did it when you were local.
No, listen. When President Obama, when he left the law school, Harvard Law School, he didn't go to most of these high-rated law firms to go and look for a job. He became a community.
Can we use examples of that? Let's leave America. Use examples within Nigeria. We're talking about Nigerian
politics. Is a serious business.
No, you see, when you are talking of politics, you can borrow an example from everywhere in the world.
No, I'm not saying let's narrow it down to our own politics here, because sometimes, you know, the reason people go into politics in this part of the world is different from.
No, you are right. You see, what I am really disappointed about is that 3-4 years ago we were talking of change in terms of making things better, change in terms of improving our democracy.
This, of course, does not help our democracy at all.
When a government who came in on the apostle of making positive change to move the country forward is now coming up with a nomination fee of 45 million.
That's exactly what we are saying.
Exactly.
The message and the messenger seems not to be tandem.
I don't understand.
And they must come to reality and the time.
I don't understand.
If we really want to deal with corruption, if we want to really move our democracy forward, there's need for things to be balanced. And it starts from this even of purchase of forms, which is already highest bidder.
Even look at the psychological effect.
Unfortunately, we
haven't.
Average Nigerian. Of course, some of us are showing.
We haven't got the time.
Unfortunately,
I've not showed interest, but this is enough to discuss.
The 45 million, cannot allow you to use.
Even though I'm not eyeing the presidency, you know.
Some of us are showing interest, but
one of the is showing interest now. It's not you guys.
Anyway, but you know, that's showing interest. But the good thing is that there are other political parties showing.
I'm not going to pay 45 million.
He's got his own political party. But maybe that's the reason why you need this huge number of political parties in the country. 91 political party. We're talking about 2 here, and I mean there are about 89 others. So,
but what I can assure you is that watch out. I mean, this election is going to define a whole lot of things. And what I know is that it may still go likely of going in the direction of the people that are still very close to the governance. But I know in another 4 years, I mean, it will have been a total different ballgame.
Now let's talk about the issue of the primaries. I mean, the primaries now. You take a look at let's start with the APC, direct primaries. What's your own take on that?
Honestly, I've never, since all my life in political arena, I have never heard of any party adopting two different methods for the same primary.
For the same primary, how do you mean?
Okay. APC is now saying that some states, if you like, you can adopt a direct primary.
Yeah, exactly.
Some, you can adopt indirect primary.
Yeah.
It's like changing the rules at the middle of the game. That is the way it is.
Let's say for the presidency, it's direct primary.
That's the way. Right now, you can't only talk about the presidency and you don't talk at the other levels.
No, absolutely, yeah.
So what I'm telling you that is there's already, it has an inbuilt contradiction within the system.
Okay,
Because
hold on, because I just want. Unfortunately, I'm being prompted for time.
Okay.
Which primaries of the two now? Which do you think would be better, direct or indirect?
You know, the two of them have their own advantages and disadvantages.
That's exactly what I want to do.
It depends on how you look at it. If you go indirect, there's tendency that it's more peaceful and it can easily produce certain results.
But won't that get hijacked?
That is what I'm saying. Yes, that's part of the disadvantages.
Delegate election.
But if you go through direct, that always brings about violence. And in most cases, most of our parties, they don't have adequate and proper registration of members. You will discover that in most cases,
absolutely right.
They will have 2 or 3 different registers. This faction will have his own register. This one will have their own register. At the end of the day, there will be confusion during the day of primary. You will see them breaking their necks, breaking their heads. At the end of the day, most of these direct primary, they will end up coming back to a round table to find a solution, because it is not always accepted. Look at what is happening in Osun. They use direct primaries there now. See how many people have left the party, APC, to ADC and other people. It shows that the result was not acceptable to them. You see, APC.
So does it mean no? What I want us to talk about is I want us to just stay focused on. I want so that people can really understand. You know, let's look at the merit and demerits of these two systems, the direct and indirect. Because somehow you say you look at the direct. Somehow you think it's probably more democratic, because why shouldn't any card-carrying member of a party be able to vote and decide who?
If you look at it in terms of,
so I just want us to.
If you look at it in terms of the number of people participating in that direct primary, more
the
people
number
participating
could be higher, difficult to manage.
And whatever. But if you look at the indirect primary, that one is more peaceful and it can easily be hijacked. You will see that most governors
always gets hijacked.
Most governors will prefer indirect primaries. Those who are not ready for governors will prefer probably direct primaries. So it depends. But I would feel that a party should have a standard.
No, but you, in your opinion, which would you say should be the case?
You know,
in your opinion.
In my own opinion, let me go back to during the SDP NLC days. That time we have this what they call direct. We did most of them. It was a direct primary where people will queue
behind
their candidate. That one you can easily count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the line and count, and you will know the result on the spot. That
one too, I would say it's not so democratic.
Wait,
in some cases.
No,
there's a problem.
But that's direct primary.
Yes, it was direct.
No, to queue behind.
Yes, I think that the best election we ever had in this country was the election of during the SDPC MKO Abiola, where people queue behind their candidate.
That's direct primary.
That was direct.
Anyway, but just hold on now. Let me get your thoughts, because we have to wrap up. Well, That may be good, but it takes away the issue of secrecy. I mean, people should be able to vote secretly without allowing other people know who they have voted for. So that's also an issue.
That one depends on its secret. That one depends from one country to the other. Every country has their own peculiarity. Remember, we are still coming from a developing nation. We have not reached an advanced democracy.
Okay.
Listen, so if that will work for us, why don't we adopt that?
Maybe it didn't work in the past.
Gradually, we will graduate from that level to the level of voting secretly, like you are, like that.
Let me share my thought on direct and indirect primary in actual fact. And I want to take it from this perspective. We want people to own governance. We want people to really be involved, and the definition of democracy really be practicalized. And if the definition of democracy really has to be practicalized, then we are saying that power must be from the people and be appointing whoever they feel decide to represent them. And that's what the direct primary will give, which probably will be the best alternative. But given our environment, our situation, we know that it's also going to be a very complicated one. If really we need to go strictly by...
Because he said something important.
Direct primary.
The parties don't want a solid party register now.
Not only the party. Our environment, our country as it is, we really keep data. We really keep records. And so that has really metamorphosized into so many other units of the government not having adequate record. And that's why our political party, none of them will have a very solid record. Like he referred to Osun, what record was used in Osun for direct primary that was conducted? INEC register. INEC register contained registration of all Nigerians, either whatever party you belong to. And that is the beginning of fraud. And that's why the direct primary in Osun is fraud. However, direct primary would have still been the most suitable. It can be more expensive and it can be more demanding because even INEC may not be sufficient enough to produce all the staffs that will be required at every unit that need to cover the direct primary. But if APC, by the constitution of APC, it gives either way, direct or indirect, in actual fact. But the indirect primary, and I think some of the reason why some of the leadership of APC is afraid of absolute indirect primary is because they feel it probably can be hijacked. They've tested it in Ondo, they've tested it in Ekiti, and it seems not to be suitable to some of the owners of APC.
No question, their interest involved here.
So because they see that it seems not to be suitable, they felt, okay, let's go direct. And when you go direct primary, it means that, like a cliff formation, at a point when the agitation was, where is the party primary register? They took that of INEC. And INEC said, okay, they tried to identify who are APC registered member. So okay, if you can't find your name, so fine, you have EVC.
Come on.
So it means that anybody can run any party. That's what
let me quickly ask you.
Party primary.
No, so it negates the fact that it's very primary.
Let me quickly ask you, because we have to end. Just give us a sense of how our political parties, keep a register, and if their registers are, really up. You were the secretary of a political party in this country. So, do you, as political parties now, do you keep a register of all the registered members of your party? You know all of them, so that if, for instance, you were to do anything like a direct primary, you know who your members are. And all of that.
If I have to tell you that we have a register that encompass all our members in a particular location, I'll be lying to you. Because number one, registration is a continuous process. And most of our parties, they don't have an organized system of registering people. It is only in recent time that we are thinking of computerizing our registration membership. So that when people register in any ward, you can easily link them into the computer system and have a central data, something like that. That is what we are trying to do now. Maybe by the time we get that off the ground, then at that point we can now say yes, we can have a good, but as it is now, it's disjointed. And you discover that if you have 4 or 5 different groups or factions within a party, every group will have their own register in various wards. So when the time for primaries or whatever comes, which register are you going to use?
And that is the message of internal democracy. It starts from there. All our political parties must be able to operate internal democracy. But now you have that, you have all the structure, you know who is a member, and then Even the movement of having to jump ship, dump this party, because there's no absolute internal democracy. And so there's no absolute allegiance to the fact that I'm PDP today and APC tomorrow. Because it will take a process for you to say, I'm declaring for me, I'm joining tomorrow. You must translate. There must be your letter, the process, and they must wipe off your letter. But somebody that left 2015 and he come back now and is adopted. I mean, it means that it's a charade that we are just deceiving ourselves. So, but my stance will still be, because of what we have experienced, that primary may need to maybe more ideal, giving voice to the people.
Yes.
But there must be things that must be done must be done.
Yes.
The proper record must be set in place.
We must be able to properly
and I
identify
think INEC also have a role to play. If they checkmate or they are regulator or they regulate the activity of the political parties, these are some of the things they must demand. They must parties should be able to submit records of their member, if quarterly, if half yearly, regularly to INEC.
All right, gentlemen. Honestly, this discussion could go on and on, but unfortunately, we can't continue. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Pleasure.
Wahabu Kanura, thank you very much for your time, and we'll just wait and see how all of this plays out. Adeyemi, thank you very much for coming, and let's just wait and see how this plays out. I mean, both systems, I would say, have their merits and demerits, and none is perfect at all. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about the Electoral Act, why President Buhari has so far refused to sign it, and what implication that could have for the coming elections.